The way we consume and share news today, it is largely rooted in social media outlets, a reason why it's crucial to look at what's being discussed online. From the hottest issues to trends for our daily social media minute, we're joined by Erica. Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Halfway through the month of July. Thoughts? Listeners, thoughts?
Thoughts? Thoughts? I can't wait for my actual summer vacation to begin. Not quite there yet.
So close.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us, Erica. Let's get started. Now, I don't know about you, but when we're all growing up, I suppose the summer reading list was a big homework that we looked forward to. I don't know. It's all rosy in hindsight, but maybe this could help any of our grown-up listeners compile their own summer reading list. Korean authors are apparently making it big on the New York Times top 100 books of the 21st century. High praise.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of that summer reading list, I do remember I was very fond of reading. I'm still fond of reading. I just wish I had more time to read.
Yep.
That's just an excuse. But anyways, the students at our school, they're on their summer break. And on the final day, last Friday, we sort of shared a list of, all of the teachers at our school's favorite, top 5 favorite books
Of all time?
They want to recommend. I mean, it's such a difficult list to compile, right? How do you pick the 5 books out of all the books that I've read in all of my life? But anyways, we kept in mind the students' age and, all that stuff. Nothing too heavy because, I mean, we are trying to encourage kids to read more. So,
you know what I would put on the list? Like Dr. Seuss, Oh, the Places You'll Go. Like something really easy and fun to, kind of ease people into reading. It could be engaging. It doesn't have to be, Shakespeare.
I agree. I completely agree. Well, anyways, I'm not sure if the students are actually going to,
read.
Actually going to read, but we'll see when they come back at the end of their summer break. Anyways, getting back to this list, which is the New York Times top 100 books of the 21st century, 2 novels by Korean authors have been recognized in this list, and that includes Min Jin Lee's Pachinko and Han Gang's The Vegetarian. They both made the cut. The New York Times announced the list last week, actually. I'm not sure if you're subscribed to the New York Times, but I am. And they actually released the list in like 3 to 4 increments. Yeah, 4 days for them to actually reveal the entire list. I'm like, come on, give it to me already.
Impatience, a part of the 21st century charm too. You're right. They did do it in intervals. I stopped after the first 2. I was like, you know what? I'll just wait. All right. So selecting 100 books of the 21st century, it sounds like a daunting task. You talked about the summer list and recommendations. I wonder what it's like trying to define the entire 21st century. So who was responsible for making this very selection?
I know, right? I mean, how do you select 100 books for an entire century? It's a really difficult task. And as for your question, who was responsible for making this very vast selection? Well, it was made by 503 literary figures, which include novelists, nonfiction writers, poets, critics, who recommended their top 10 books from the past 2 decades.
All right. Now, only if we had time or either of us work for the New York Times, we would go through the entire 100 list and call it a day. Who has time for that?
Yeah.
So maybe we can focus on the Korean authors that you mentioned that made the cut, Han Gang and Min Jin Lee.
Yes, that's right. Pachinko, very famously was made into, a TV show, right?
Yeah.
It was written by Korean-American author Min Jin Lee. The book ranked 15th on the list of 100. This novel was published back in 2017. Now, the New York Times described the novel as a rich, haunting chronicle of a Korean family that faces war, colonization, and personal conflicts over 4 generations. And the story features, a quote, a sly gangster, a disabled fisherman, forbidden love, and hidden losses, with a titular pachinko game providing a financial lifeline to the main characters who, like us, are gamblers in life. Now, The Vegetarian, which was written by Hangang and published a year earlier in 2016, secured the 49th spot. And the New York Times noted that one ordinary day, a young housewife in modern Seoul wakes up from a disturbing dream and decides to stop eating meat. Her small rebellion spirals into a surreal exploration of not just what the body needs, but what the soul demands in this short, intense novel.
It really wasn't what I was expecting when I went to reach it. It's called The Vegetarian after all.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't want to give out spoilers if you haven't had the chance yet, but it's an excellent read and it goes
Yes.
by really fast, both of those books. So it might be a
Yep.
good one to pick up. Which novel topped the list? I'm just scrolling through the list because I never got a final look. I don't recognize half of the books. What kind of reader am I? Selective one.
That goes for me as well. Half the books I didn't really recognize, but I do have a few. I'm proud to say, sitting on my bookshelf.
All right, winning.
Yeah. So Elena Ferrante's My Brilliant Friend took the top spot of this list. The novel tells the story of two characters, Lenu and Lila. And the story is about their childhood and adolescent friendship in a small town near Naples, Italy. And the story takes place in the 1950s. Now, Isabel Wilkerson's historical work titled The Warmth of Other Suns came in second place. The work chronicles the migration of African Americans from the southern United States to other regions. And, speaking of, we talked about the summer reading list.
Yeah.
If you're planning to go somewhere this summer, even just for a few days, the books that I just mentioned, if you haven't read them already, you might want to pick up.
I know it's almost a cliche, but sometimes cliches work. But on my recent trip to south of France and then to Paris, I took Ernest Hemingway's Movable Feast. Wouldn't you too?
I love that book, Lena. I'm so glad you mentioned it. Yeah.
Go dust it off and read it.
Yep.
It's just good the second, third, and fourth time around.
Yep.
But hey, I don't know. We're speaking to a generation of people who don't read anymore, so maybe we're ancient story, Erica.
Oh, no. I really don't believe, people often say, oh, the Gen Z, they don't read books. And, a lot of them, they justify themselves by saying, I don't need to read books. There are plenty of other stuff to read. But I don't know. When I converse with somebody, people who read a lot of books, I can tell they read a lot of books.
Me
I'm not trying to, I don't know, make the people who don't really like to read books feel bad.
Yeah.
But
There are benefits to reading that can't be found elsewhere. And unless you try it, you can't make the comparison. So if you haven't tried, we encourage you. It's great. And apparently the New York Times pretty ambitious 100 best books of the 21st century. It seems to be a good place to start.
that's right.
All right, on to our second story this morning. It was for a second outshadowed by the latest news on the assassination attempt on Donald Trump, but the passing of Beverly Hills 90210 star has also sent shockwaves across the world.
Yeah, we're talking about Shannen Doherty, who's died after years of battling cancer. She was just 53 years old, too young to pass. Now, her longtime publicist, Leslie Sloan, confirmed her passing yesterday. She said the devoted daughter, sister, aunt, and friend was surrounded by her loved ones as well as her dog, Bowie. The family asks for their privacy at this time so they can grieve in peace. This is a well-known story if you're a fan or if you've been catching up. Shannen Doherty was first diagnosed with breast cancer back in 2015, and she spoke candidly about it. Back in 2023, November, she talked about how she was in her stage 4 breast cancer, which had then spread to her bones. She said at the time that she didn't want to die. To quote her words, "I'm not done with living. I'm not done with loving. I'm not done with creating. I'm not done with hopefully changing things for the better.
So, following her 2015 diagnosis, the actress revealed less than 2 years later, in April of 2017, that she had gone into remission, but by 2019, the cancer returned.
That's right. She announced her diagnosis of metastatic stage 4 cancer publicly in 2020. And then in June, that's last year of 2023, the actress shared that the cancer had spread to her brain and that she had undergone surgery. She shared all of this in a really emotional message on social media, how the cancer had spread to her brain, and then she had undergone surgery to remove this brain cancer. She even removed the tumor. She called it Bob. Now, despite all of this, the actress was really determined to continue working as she lived with cancer. She asked herself all kinds of questions like, why me? Why did I get cancer? Why did my cancer come back? And why am I stage 4? And then she said all of these questions led her to look for the bigger purpose in life.
Not everybody is so grounded and brave, I must
Mm.
say. It's tough, and nobody would have, held it against her if she said, "I'm too tired." But
Right.
she found the courage and the fight in her to continue her work, to continue to inspire others. I think that's a beautiful story. In case our listeners are unaware of her career, I mean, we can give you the long list or the short list,
Yeah.
but one iconic role did single-handedly make her fame. Doherty rose to fame as Brenda Walsh on the original Beverly Hills 90210.
Speaking of the show, it just takes me all the way back
Me
to
too.
1990. Yeah, I was living in New Zealand, Auckland at the time, and this was my after school, with my friends, and we would talk about the show all that we were obsessed with the show. We were in middle school,
Mm.
and anyways, everyone was so good looking on the show, blah 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 blah, all the
Uh,
fashion.
yeah.
The show premiered in October of 1990,
Mm.
and after her Beverly Hills fame, she was cast in Charmed. The show Charmed is Prue Halliwell. She was the oldest of three sisters who are witches on the show.
They redid 90210 in, I believe, the
Yes.
early 2000s, but there's
Mhm.
something so iconic about the original version, and there are ways to watch it. It's quite excellent.
Yep.
Apparently popular in Auckland, too. I guess it was a global phenomenon.
Oh gosh, yeah, it was so big at the time.
Did you dress like any of the characters? I felt like the fashion was
Oh,
such a big thing.
yeah, I'm not sure if I did. It was such a long time ago, but yeah, I remember, I think Brenda left at the end of season 4. I mean, like Shannen Doherty
Yeah,
left at the end of
yeah.
season 4, and then she returned for the reboot,
Mm, mm,
the show you just mentioned.
yeah.
But anyways,
Her
brings me a lot of
legacy.
praise.
Yeah, and I'm sure our listeners are sharing the same sentiment. Her
Mhm.
legacy lives on. It seems that condolences are pouring out. May she rest in peace.
Yep.
All right, on to our final story today. Astronauts could be drinking their own urine in a Dune-inspired spacesuit. Lovely.
I know it sounds gross,
Sounds pretty
but
disgusting.
this has always been a big, I guess, challenge
Sure.
for many people, how to keep astronauts hydrated
Yeah.
when they're in space. It's been a challenge for NASA and other space agencies for decades. But it looks like science fiction may have offered an answer. So I'm not sure if you've seen the movie Dune or read the
I
novel.
have not read the novel. Have you seen how big the novel is? It's so intimidating.
I haven't read the novel, but yeah, in its recent two-part adaptation on the big screen, people on this barren world of Arrakis survive by wearing suits that recirculate their sweat and urine into drinkable water.
All right. So all kind of like ickiness aside, I mean, this is vital to, these space explorations that seem so ambitious. We want to go beyond the moon. We want to create a space station. So there's essentially a rest stop in longer space exploration, right? So hydration seems important. So now scientists have devised a real life version of the fictional spacesuit.
Yeah. Why am I not surprised? They can do all sorts of things. Why not create a spacesuit that can turn urine into potable water, right?
Okay.
Now, researchers from Cornell University created a spacesuit that is capable of collecting and purifying 500 milliliters of water, or oh yes, sorry, urine in 5 minutes, and saving 87% of that urine as drinkable water for use. So astronauts currently only have 1 liter of water available in their in-suit drink bags. And this is really insufficient for the planned longer-lasting lunar spacewalks, which can last up to 10 hours and even up to 24 hours in an emergency. So this is definitely revolutionary.
All right. So how does the suit work? Do I want to know? I do, right?
The prototype, very simply put, it recycles urine in a two-step process. So the first process is removing the urine. The water is removed from the urine. Sorry, that's so confusing. Removing water from the urine, and a pump basically separates water from salt. And the second process is the suit enriches the water with electrolytes and pumps it into a bag that is within the suit for astronauts to drink. Now, it provides a continuous supply of potable water with safety mechanisms to make sure astronauts stay safe. And there's also a 40-hour battery that powers the suit, and it weighs about 8 kilograms, which researchers believe is sufficiently light enough to be part of an astronaut's kit.
All right. So when will the suit be actually put to actual use? Soon, I hope.
Yes, soon. The researchers actually designed the suit for upcoming missions to the moon scheduled for 2025 and 2026, where a crew will orbit and land on its south pole during the second mission. NASA plans to launch manned missions to Mars in the early 2030s. The suit and the research was recently published in the Frontiers in Space Technology journal.
Thank you so much, Erica, for really going through such a comprehensive list. What a set of stories. I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, Lena.
If you're listening to our program using the podcast service, just a reminder that we do go live Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Korea Standard Time. So tune in and help us make the show more informative by giving us your input. See you bright and early on Good Morning Seoul.